Good evening from London, and hello from me, Dr. Dermot Hudson, Chairman of the British Group for the Study of the Juche idea, Chairman of the Korean Friendship Association of the UK, and of course, the owner of the SONGUN007 YouTube channel, the only militant pro-DPRK, pro-Juche YouTube channel in the UK, defending people's career with no ifs or buts. And I'm going to be speaking about, this is our 29th live stream. Soon it will be our 30th live stream. I warmly welcome everybody who's joining. It's great to see you here again. So tonight, again, this is mostly without a script, and it's been made in artificial light as well. Bit of problems with the lighting, but the evenings in London are getting a lot darker than they have been before, and very soon we will lose British summer time. So tonight I've lined up a number of subjects to talk about. I'll talk for a while, maybe 30 minutes, probably 20 minutes, and then I will take questions from the audience, and I'll try and answer those and aim to finish in around about 1 hour. So I lined up a few subjects to talk about tonight. And firstly, before I talk about what I planned to talk about when I was setting this live stream up last week, respected Marshal Kim Jong-un made a very important speech on the 21st of September to the 13th session of the 14th term Supreme People's Assembly. I've made a standalone video about that, which I recommend people watch. I don't intend to go over the same ground tonight, but one important thing that I omitted to mention in that video was that respected Marshal Kim Jong-un called for deputies to the Supreme People's Assembly of the DPRK to lead frugal lives. And this struck me as something very, very important, that he called for them to do that. When you contrast the UK, contrast it with the UK, where members of parliament, those parasites, actually get salaries of 95,000, yes, 95,000, plus massive expenses, and they get subsidised food at the houses of parliament. It beats having to go to work for a living. But in people's career, you don't have that. Deputies to the Supreme People's Assembly don't actually receive a separate salary. They actually receive just their normal salary from their workplace. And of course, many of the deputies are just ordinary workers. For instance, a road sweeper, a lady street cleaner in the DPRK, was elected to the Supreme People's Assembly, and she actually spoke at the last session. Now, that would be absolutely impossible in Britain, because I don't think the British Parliament has a single worker or poor person in it. You know, this is a fact. So anyway, I just thought I would sort of amplify that point. Now, in a few weeks' time, in fact, 2 weeks from now, it's going to be the 80th anniversary of the foundation of the Workers' Party of Korea. Without any doubt, this is a great landmark, not just for People's Korea, but for the entire international communist movement and the world progressive movement and working people of the world. It was on an October day in 1945, just after Korea had been liberated from Japanese imperialist rule, that President Kim Il-sung founded the Communist Party of North Korea, which was later to merge with the new Democratic Party of Korea to become the Workers' Party of Korea. Now, yeah, I think there's many booklets and articles on the subject, so I won't delve very deeply into the history of the Workers' Party of Korea here. I'll just make a few points about it, and I would recommend people read the booklet Understanding the Workers' Party of Korea, which is available in PDF form, and I will put a link in the chat later, and I hope to sort of soon compile a reading list for the anniversary of the Workers' Party of Korea. And say very quickly, because I see it popping up in the chat, hello to comrades from the People's Korea Initiative of Poland. Great to have you here. So the Workers' Party of Korea is celebrating 80 years of existence, 8 decades of existence. I think without any doubt, it has the longest history of a ruling party in a socialist country, 80 years. Other countries do not have that. And indeed, once mighty parties of the socialist camp, for example, the Communist Party of the Soviet Union and the Socialist Unity Party of Germany, just collapsed and are no longer, and the Soviet Communist Party, with millions of members, was actually dissolved. It was unable to defend itself and socialism. And similarly, with the Socialist Unity Party of Germany, and we're still in Germany, and I stand open to correction on this. You cannot even use the title Socialist Unity Party. I believe it's actually banned, but I digress slightly there. And I think the durability of the Workers' Party of Korea is due to the fact that it is based on the Juche idea authored by the great leader President Kim Il-sung and developed by Chairman Kim Jong-il. And now we have the leadership of respected Marshal Kim Jong-un, which is propelling the Workers' Party of Korea forward to new and greater victories. The Workers' Party of Korea is also got invincibility and durability due to the fact it is a genuine mass-based party, not just a party with millions and millions of members, but a party that is deeply rooted in society and has members from all ranks and all strata of society. In the DPRK, you will find top generals and ministers and senior professors who are members of the Workers' Party of Korea. You also will find waitresses, street cleaners, factory workers at for instance, at the Pyongyang Kim Jong-suk textile mill. You'll find they are party members. It genuinely embraces the whole of society in the DPRK. And in fact, its history is quite its history is quite different to other parties in the world. You know, to other communist parties, both ruling and non-ruling, and of course it's totally different to reformist parties or bourgeois parties. In many countries, communist parties were formed about 100 or so years ago, either through a faction breaking away from a social democratic or socialist party, or from a fusion of different communist groups. For example, in my own country, the UK, the Communist Party of Great Britain, which of course no longer exists, was formed in 1920 when a number of parties and small groups merged to form the party. And in France, I believe the left wing of the Socialist Party became the Communist Party. And I believe something similar happened in the USA and Ireland. But in Korea, instead, a party was founded from the grassroots. President Kim Il-sung looked at the existing communist movement and nationalist movement and decided it wasn't the way forward because there was a number of problems with it. First of all, there was the tendency to split into factions. And secondly, the bad habit, but a deeply ingrained habit of looking up to big powers for salvation. And the Korean Communist Party was actually dissolved by the Comintern in 1928 because of factional fighting. So President Kim Il-sung saw that this was not the way forward. He formed the Down with Imperialism Union on the 17th of October 1926, which of course is the root of the Workers' Party of Korea. And he built a party from the grassroots. The Down with Imperialism Union was composed of revolutionary school students and working class youth. It's unlike the factionalist groups, which really came from the petty bourgeoisie and ruined aristocracy in Korea. So it was quite different, and they did not just sort of announce, oh, we formed a party. Instead, there was years of party formation that went on, and that went hand in hand with the anti-Japanese armed struggle. Party committees were formed within the Korean People's Revolutionary Army, and the party was actually born in 1945, and that's what makes it very different to other communist parties. The Workers' Party Korea led many decades of socialist construction, building a country of the people that is independent, self-sufficient and self-reliant in defence. A true socialist paradise has been built where you've got free housing, free education, free health, zero personal taxation and low-cost food. All these things are the fruits of the leadership of the great Workers' Party of Korea. The Workers' Party of Korea has always opposed modern revisionism, and it has upheld socialist principles. And I was very heartened when I read respected Marshal Kim Jong-un's recent speech to the Supreme People's Assembly, when he declared that they would always uphold the banner of socialism. I think this sort of echoed the statement of Chairman Kim Jong-il, expect no change from me. So, let's all celebrate the anniversary of the Workers' Party of Korea, the Supreme General Staff of the Korean Revolution and the great guide and organizer of all the Korean people's victories on October the 10th. And like I said, we will be producing a reading list for this a very auspicious occasion. Now, on to the other subjects that I'd planned to talk about. For people who are regular viewers to the channel and follow KFA UK on social media, you will know of the incident where the leader of Wrexham Council, thank you very much, KFA Greece. By the way, I've got one eye on the chat. I am going to answer the questions when I sort of finish speaking. I will try and answer questions one by one. But anyway, back to what I'm saying now. Yeah, I mean, people will have seen that the leader of Wrexham Borough Council, someone called Mark Pritchard, the so-called independent, one should ask the question, independent of what? For goodness sake, probably a secret Tory or something like that. Apparently said to Wrexham.com, which I believe is actually just a front paper or front website for the local council, that KFA UK shouldn't have been in Wrexham. We shouldn't have had a bookstall, that I shouldn't be in Wrexham, etc. And it's not clear whether they were going to actually ban KFA from any council-owned property, or they were actually going to try and ban KFA UK from the town of Wrexham itself, which would be interesting. Is Councillor Pritchard going to put up roadblocks around Wrexham to try and see if myself or other KFA UK members enter the town? Is he going to have the police searching people's bags for DPRK books or KFA literature? And of course, these kind of attacks on KFA and KFA UK are not new. A few years ago, the Quakers, maybe they they'd eaten too many oats. The Quakers banned KFA UK from using their meeting rooms, which is another attack on the freedom of speech and the freedom of assembly. And of course, we've had a lot of run-ins with different social media outlets. We've countered that by setting up the Telegram channel 3 years ago. So we're on Telegram, which is uncensored. However, back in 2023, our original KFA UK Facebook page, which had about 12,000 likes, was suddenly arbitrarily deleted by Facebook. No appeal. We tried reaching out to Facebook, sending them emails, even hard copy letters, just ignored by Zuckerberg. Yeah, we wrote to Zuckerberg himself. Similarly, YouTube actually deleted 2 KFA UK channels, allegedly because we were showing content that actually broke the sanctions against the DPRK, which you know, basically US law only applies in the US, doesn't apply in Britain. You know, as far as I'm concerned, you know, the Yankees can go and stuff their sanctions. Basically, they're not, you know. But anyway, 2 YouTube channels were deleted, and I would just also mention, with regard to Wrexham Council, we've actually sent them a long letter of protest about Councillor Pritchard's remarks, which are an attack on free speech and freedom of assembly. And to date, they have not replied. And also, Wrexham.com refused to engage with us directly. We complained to them about the unauthorized uses of images from our Facebook page and social media. They did not answer this directly, just put some silly comments on their website. So, I mean, this all comes down to the question of why are they trying to censor KFA UK and indeed other KFA branches? They've had trouble. Some other people have had trouble with Instagram and I think other social media. And I would also mention that our friends in the Brazilian Pacto Institute, formerly the Brazilian Center for Study of Songun Politics, I think they had a lot of their social media accounts deleted. So this is going on quite a lot, and you know, I've heard it said once or twice by certain figures that KFA should be quote unquote banned. So what lies behind this? What are they so frightened of? What is it they don't want people to see or hear? You know, what are we doing that they want to try and stop us doing it? What is the reason for that? Yeah. And the reason is, you know, so the elite, the establishment, or the ruling the ruling class, call it what you want. They want to have a monopoly on information about the DPRK, about people's career. They don't want you, the ordinary people, finding out the truth. They only want you to read the lies, the gross and blatant lies, which I see some people are repeating in the chat. They only want you to believe that, and they want to brainwash you. They want to stop you knowing the truth. They want to stop you knowing that out there is a country where the people are united as one. There is a country without strikes and riots. There is a country with free housing, something that we can only dream of in the UK. There is a country with free healthcare and free education. There is a country without graffiti or vandalism, without drug addiction, without prostitution. They don't want you to know that. They don't want you to know that there is an alternative to the present corrupt and rotting order. They also want to demonise the DPRK with the aim of preparing the public for a war, possible war against the DPRK. So that is their aims. And anyone who sort of challenges the false narrative of the elite, they try to suppress their voice, like they are threatening to do in Wrexham, and like they've done in the past by trying to censor our social media accounts. And I would also mention that a number of local libraries in the UK actually block access to both our websites. I went to my local library and tried to access the website, and it came up as being blocked. Similarly, a supporter in another part of the country was trying to access the website from a local library, couldn't do so. So they're actually stopping people from using library computers to access the KFA website. But they say the elite just don't want you to know the truth. And say our organisation, KFA UK, is committed to defending people's career with no ifs or buts. We're true friends of people's career. We're not representing a commercial interest like some tour companies. We're not a party ticking a box either. We are real, true defenders of people's career. And for this reason, we face the wrath of the establishment, or people trying to suppress us and even ban us, block us from using public buildings in parts of the country, and all these kind of things. But it's because they don't want you to learn the truth. They are so frightened that you will learn the truth about people's career. So on that note, I will stop there, because I've been talking for nearly about 25 minutes. So I will start going through people's questions. I will mention here we've got a couple of events lined up. We've got our film night on the 30th, Tuesday, for 30th of September. We've got film night via Telegram. And we're hoping to have a real life meeting on the 18th of October. There will be details of that coming out. So I'll start answering the questions in a few minutes. I'm laughing at the way Stan has spelt Wrexham. It's not. It's probably the way I say it with my London accent. It's not. It's Wrexham. Don't go to that sorry town. Well, it was a funny experience. There was someone came up to me when I was running the stall who looked like a cross between Captain Birdseye and an old tramp, and he was wearing an RNLI jumper, which is the Royal National Lifeboat Institution, and he said something like, "You're not welcome in Wrexham, or you can't do this in Wrexham." Well, I'll defend people's career with no ifs or buts wherever I like. Right, okay. Well, I said hello to people's career initiative. Juche gang. I wonder if that is the Juche gang in Canada. Can you please talk about why Kim Jong-un recently expressed his openness to meeting Donald Trump? Well, I think this, one line of a very what was very long speech was picked up by the mainstream media in the way they like to. They like to create these talking points and distort what was said. But you need to read the whole speech. And there's a whole section about the question of denuclearization and question of relations with the USA. And in actual fact, respected Marshal Kim Jong-un actually says there will be no denuclearization. He said we will not lay down our nukes, and even said even in 100 years we will not give up our nuclear weapons. He made that very clear, and said they're not actually prepared to talk about denuclearization with the US, because this is really equivalent to regime change. And he said, he made the point, look what happened in other countries when they accepted the US demand for denuclearization. However, if the US drops the demand for denuclearization, then possibly a meeting could take place. The DPRK has never ruled out the possibility of opening diplomatic relations with the US. It was actually back in 1972 that Harrison E. Salisbury of the New York Times actually visited the DPRK and met President Kim Il-sung. And in his talk with Harrison E. Salisbury, President Kim Il-sung did say, well, there was a possibility that if the US ended its hostility to the DPRK and took its troops out of the south of Korea, then there was a possibility of direct talks with the US and opening diplomatic relations. What we got to realise, it's actually the US ruling class that doesn't want I'd say a very big faction in the US ruling class and the deep state do not want diplomatic relations with the DPRK. They want to delegitimize the DPRK, and hence campaigns over things like human rights and attempts to isolate and stifle the DPRK. And if you cast your minds back to 7 years ago, when there was the DPRK US summit in Singapore, followed by the one in Hanoi in the Socialist Republic of Vietnam in February 2019, Trump was actually attacked by so-called liberals for meeting respected Marshal Kim Jong-un. They actually, he was actually being attacked from the right for his policy on the DPRK. It was, this might seem very bizarre to people and a bit absurd, but the liberals were actually saying that Trump wasn't right-wing enough when it came to the DPRK, that he shouldn't meet the supreme leader of the DPRK. And he got a lot of criticism for that. But, rest assured, the DPRK is not going to change its course. Nuclear weapons are in the Constitution. Scrapping nuclear weapons in the DPRK would be unconstitutional. Similarly, the DPRK is committed to socialism. And some people might say, well, why be open to meeting the leader of imperialist America? But when we look at it and study it, some of the propaganda cliches about the DPRK is that it is isolated, because this is not true. And the DPRK doesn't pursue isolationism. It's the US that tries to isolate it. So, I don't see anything wrong with being open to talks, but like I said, these are not unconditional. These would be on the DPRK's own terms and certainly would not involve denuclearization. So going down the list, and I hope that was a satisfactory answer for you. Stan, no expect any change from Kim Jong-un. Don't quite know what that means. Solid was answered, George. Thank you for your solidarity. I hope doesn't want to meet Trump again. Is someone, not very good English, is North Koreans starving eating bugs? Well, well, first of all, it's not North Korea, it is People's Korea, and it is citizens of the DPRK, not North Koreans. No one is starving in the DPRK. I've been there 19 times, including the very worst years of the arduous march in the 1990s. Never seen anyone starving. Certainly on my last visit in April 2024, didn't see anyone starving, no one homeless, no one begging for food, no shortages of food, plenty of food. And in the past, I've actually been to barbecues with ordinary DPRK families like miners and brewery workers. They had plenty of food. There's no starvation, and in fact, agricultural production is going up and up in the DPRK. Every citizen in the DPRK is guaranteed the right to eat from the moment he is born, and this is guaranteed by the constitution and different laws like the socialist labour law, and of course by supplying food at a price next to nothing. And I think that's really wonderful. You go into the shops in Britain and you just see prices going up all the time. And in fact, there's people in Britain starving. We actually have food banks in Britain. And, if you go in a local supermarket in Britain, you will see a donation point for food. Starvation is happening in Britain. I would also recommend that people read my book, The Famine That Never Was, which is my account of what was happening in the DPRK, or what was alleged to happen in the DPRK in the 1990s. And again, it's based on my own eyewitness evidence from 1996. So, I mean, I don't know whether those remarks were made as a genuine question, or whether you're a troll. But if you're a troll, do not come back. Disney has been catching hell from people are losing money. Maybe Rexon. Yeah, I mean, yes. I can see why people might want to spell it. Can get the same treatment. Well, yeah. I mean, honestly, I don't know why they thought Wrexham was so special. That Wrexham was somehow different to places like Liverpool, where we had participated in the book fair then, where it was very successful, or indeed London or Glasgow. I don't know why Wrexham thinks they're so special, and there cannot be KFA activity there. USA. Hmm. Sorry, USA can stuff their. There we are. Sorry. USA can stuff their trade war as well. I think they are starting to get sanctioned all over their tariffs, and talking about wanting to annex Canada and Greenland. Hi to the nephews of Kim Jong-un from Turkey, and good evening, comrade. All the countries acting like this over the deep dark are nothing but pussycat cowards. There is nothing brave and noble about their unmanliness. They are total putty cats. Well, no, notice his love, ignorance. What have I stumbled into? Well, this is the live stream of the SONGUN007 channel and of KFA, the British Group for the Study of the Juche there. Stan, maybe in 100 years, nukes will be obsolete and maybe people will have gotten their mess together or have gone extinct. Maybe. Jimmy Carter got the DPRK to come to the table, but Bush messed it all up. The US doesn't want peace with the DPRK. Hope that the USA uses all of its relationships. When he went to the DPRK, people at the Liberal camps were talking all that crap. I think I still have the video I made about it, stupid libs. The libs also attack third-party candidates to keep them off the ballot. The USA is isolating itself by scaring off tourists and their trade partners. I was agreeing with you when you quoted Kim Jong-un's resolve. Oh, good. Trevor Hill, hello. Yes, hello. Americans might be soon eating bugs and starving with the grocery prices going up. Yes, indeed. I mean, the US has starving people and it has thousands of homeless. I've seen actual videos about some US cities, and you see not just maybe 3 or 4 homeless people like you will see in various parts of central London, but you see like dozens and even hundreds of the homeless. 800,000 homeless right now in my country. Well, China is a complex topic. I've discussed it before on my live streams. I think DPRK-China relations are slowly improving. But obviously, these differences between the two countries. The DPRK is upholding Juche-based socialism, self-reliant socialism, whereas China opted for opening up and reform. Which I think sort of answers the question. You might want to refer to earlier live streams about this. Okay, well, we're doing well for time. Hope people have got some more questions. Yes, expect no change from me. Yes, that is the saying of Chairman Kim Jong-il back in the 1990s. Yes, well, that's right. I mean, that's what Marshal Kim Jong-un actually said. In fact, if I can find, might be a good idea to read out a little bit of the speech. Yes, here we are. It says, this is quoting from the speech of Marshal Kim Jong-un to the 13th session of the 14th Supreme People's Assembly, and I quote, "Our party and government have no right to give up socialism which our people have chosen, trust and propel by themselves, and which they regard as a truth and treasure more than their own life. They are duty bound to develop it in our own way and lead it to attain a succession of great victories. There will be no change or deviation in the political platform of our party and government, and we will surely defend and advance socialism, which embody our people's aspirations and ideals, and thus promoting the great prosperity of our state and ensuring the eternal well-being of our people. Our cause is invincible, as it advances by relying on the extraordinary patriotic enthusiasm and inexhaustible creativity of the heroic people who remain faithful to the ennobling ideals and our socialist state's history of development and prosperity will continue forever." End of quotation. So I think, that is a very powerful uh, uh, affirmation of a commitment to socialism. Deng Xiaoping was one of the worst figures in human history. Well, uh, yeah, well, I mean, you've got. I can't say he saves one of the one of the worst. Is he had people like Hitler, but certainly I personally don't like reform and opening up. It was a reversal of socialism. It was a bit like Khrushchev. At SONGUN007, what got you into Juche in the first place? Well, people always ask that, and I've answered the question so many times. I had a long interview with an awful journalist from the Londoner this earlier this year, and I answered that question. And if you look at my interview with KFA Netherlands, it's answered there. And also my book Travels in the Land of Juche, Korea. However, I am a fair person, so I will have a go at answering it. It's a very long story. I will try and shorten it and summarize it. Back in the 1980s, now a long time ago, I was a student, a young man. I was in the Communist Party of Great Britain. I became very disillusioned with that party and also with the Soviet Communist Party. I mean, I realised that the Communist Party of Great Britain was very revisionist in its outlook, but I found that the Soviet Union and the Soviet Communist Party were not much better. In fact, they were revisionist. So I looked for a new path. And one day I came across, well, I mean, there were several things. I came across some DPRK magazines in a public library in Woolwich. Of course, if it was today, they would probably be banned. And you would have the leader of Wrexham Council saying, you know, he's not going to have them in his town. Anyway, I also read an essay on the DPRK by the American historian Mark Cummings in a book called Marxist Regimes, a World Survey, or maybe it was World Marxist Regimes, a survey. And I became very, very, very interested in the DPRK. Very hard to find anything out about the DPRK. You didn't have the internet in those days. There were very few books on the DPRK. Most of them were very, very hostile. Yeah, sorry, it's Bruce Cummings. Sorry, not Mark Cummings. Bruce Cummings, Professor Bruce Cummings. I was thinking of someone else. Yeah, it's Bruce Cummings. Yeah, thanks for that. But very hard to find books about the DPRK. And one day, quite by chance, I found some works, President Kim Il Sung, and a little book called Korean Review in a bookshop in a back street of Southampton on the south coast of England. I read those avidly and I became a Juche idea follower. And that is the story of how I got into Juche, basically summarised into 2 or 3 minutes. Education and healthcare are completely free, and that is in the Constitution and other laws. It is strictly prohibited to charge any fees for education in the DPRK. And similarly, free healthcare was introduced in January 1953, and in fact, insurance-based healthcare had been for workers and office workers had even been introduced in 1946. The DPRK passed several laws on healthcare which guaranteed free healthcare. Without doing, socialism would have defeated capitalism a long time ago. Yeah, quite possibly. Not 100% sure about that, but I can see where you're coming from, where the reasoning was. Yeah, Gorbachev was definitely the worst. Yeltsin second, and then the third. Yeah, I agree with that. But you can also, I think you should also add Khrushchev to that. You know, he basically started the whole thing off. And you could also perhaps mention revisionist leaders in some countries. And don't forget, Gorbachev was actually promoted by Brezhnev, who you know, some people see as some god of you know, hardline communism, because he really wasn't as bad as Gorbachev, and perhaps you know, he was the one who tried to halt some of Khrushchev's reforms, but never reversed them. George, well, we're getting heavily into Soviet politics now. Bit out of my remit, but but I'll try and answer best I can. Replying to George here, an old friend of mine, you know, and veteran KFA UK member, as well as the secretary of KFA Greece. Malenkov or Khrushchev? Well, I think Khrushchev was an out-and-out traitor, and you know, I think Malenkov was the would have been the better leader of the USSR, and I, you know, wish it's a pity that the so-called anti-party group under Malenkov, Molotov, and Kavanovich wasn't successful in removing Khrushchev. And by the way, Molotov actually praised the DPRK, and he said to an anti-Japanese revolutionary veteran Rim Chung Chu that socialism in the DPRK was strong, and the President Kim Il Sung was doing the right thing. Bertram Clement, greetings, Comrade Dermot. Very pleased to receive your book, In Defence of Juche Korea. Well, thank you for buying it, and that book needs to be sold in greater numbers, along with my other books. And you know, I'll be having another book coming out the end of this year or early next year. You know, these other good books like The Great Conspiracy Against People's Korea and The Famine That Never Was, Korea of Juche, all great books. Hope you'll buy them. What is your view on Suslov? Interesting. Don't know too much about him. You know, when I was growing up, the right-wing press here, or the quality right-wing press, like the Daily Telegraph, used to say that he was like the ultimate hardliner in the Soviet leadership. But I don't think he was. You know, I think he was a revisionist, like the others. And you know, you know, when he was around, the Soviet Union was revisionist. You know, don't highly evaluate him from what I know, but I can't say too much. I'm not a specialist on Soviet affairs. Right, okay, well, we're coming to the end now, but I think Trevor Hill's raised an important question. It keeps coming up. I mean, this is an NK News urban legend about the so-called private sector in the DPRK. It is blatant rubbish. You know, I've discussed this with people in the DPRK, said there's no private companies, no private stalls in the street. You know, this would be against the Constitution, which stipulates the socialist ownership of the means of production, distribution, and exchange. And in fact, the DPRK is the most socialist country in the world. It completed socialist transformation of production relations in 1958. And, you know, if you don't want to believe me, you don't want to believe the DPRK, I can recommend the following. Well, I wouldn't recommend them, but there's a sort of far-right neoliberal think tank in the US called I think it's the Heritage Institute or something, or Heritage something or other. They produced the so-called Index of Economic Freedom. And of course, their idea of economic freedom is not the same as what I think most of my viewers would see as economic freedom. Their idea of economic freedom is the freedom of capital to exploit and to make a profit. And needless to say, the DPRK comes right down at the very bottom of the list. So, in other words, according to them, it is in fact the most socialist country in the world. And they say, if you don't believe me, you can say look it up, the Index of Economic Freedom, the Heritage organization, and they are really pro-capitalist, far right-wing fruitcakes by anyone's standards. So they're not friends of the DPRK or any socialist country. Right. Well, I've just answered this one. Retromeister, do you think Korea will reunify by the end of the century? I was thinking, SA, people got to stop saying North Korea. It's People's Korea, Juche Korea, or the DPRK. I was thinking the DPRK will end up with a much bigger population due to the extremely low South Korean birth rates. Yes, interesting. Well, I think, we're talking about 75 years ahead. So, it's hard to say what would happen then. Quite possibly that would happen. As we all know, the DPRK formally dropped the policy of reunification in December 2023. So, DPRK is not looking for reunification, but, a lot could change over the coming decades. So who knows? I mean, maybe it will reunify then. Okay. Well, I think we've covered a lot of ground tonight. It's been great being here, answering all the questions, and I'll try my best. And I say, do check out my publications on lulu.com and check out KFA UK social media for details of our events. I hope to be back in a couple of weeks with another live stream. So until then, I wish everybody a very good evening and say see you all again. Goodbye.